All right, good morning, Eden. We are on Kuf Yud Ches Amud Aleph 118a. The line begins with the words Roida Hayam, and then you go 5 words in, and it says V'Amar Rav Sheshes. Here, V'Amar Rav Sheshes, right there. V'Amar Rav Sheshes. V'Amar Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes stated, Mishum Rabbi Levi ben Azariah, in the name of Rabbi Levi ben Azariah. On the simple level, the reason why this is being mentioned here, because previously we had a statement by Rabbi Levi ben Azariah, that was yesterday, where we learned about the difficulty of, God forbid, someone who has is incapable of relieving himself, and how that's difficult, akin to the splitting of the sea, and we spoke about what that might mean on a spiritual level. So now there's further statements from Rabbi Levi ben Azariah, this time being brought to us by Rav Sheshes. Right, so Rav Sheshes is an Amora, is a scholar of the Gemara, and he's now quoting from a Mishnaic scholar, Rabbi Levi ben Azariah. So Amar Rav Sheshes, Mishum Rabbi Levi ben Azariah, Rav Sheshes stated in the name of Rabbi Levi ben Azariah, quote, Kol HaMesaper. One second, no, I'm sorry. Kol HaMevazas HaMoyados, anyone who belittles, disgraces, mevaza, embarrasses, disgraces the holidays, the Yom Tovim, Ki'ilu Oived Avodah Zarah, it's as if he has worshipped idols. Disgracing the holidays equal to idol worship. Very heavy statement. Disgracing the holidays, desecrating is equal to idol worship. It's a very strong statement. Shenemar, the verse reads, Elekei Ma'asecha Lo Yisasa Lacha. The pasuk says, "You shall not make foreign gods." This is a prohibition against idol worship. B'ksiv Basrei, and the pasuk, the next pasuk reads, "Eschag hamatzos tishmar." You shall keep the Yom Tov of Pesach. So we see the verse juxtaposes the prohibition against idol worship with the keeping of the Yom Tovim to teach us that they are compared to one another, and therefore anyone who desecrates the Yom Tovim is equal to idol worship. Okay, simple statement, but a very heavy one. To make something akin to idol worship is very, very heavy, and we have to think about what that means. So to start with, the Alter Rebbe in Tanya actually explains, based on other sources, that any sin is in some way a subtle idol worship. How's that? Because the origins of idol worship, the origins historically, was not necessarily the denial of God. It was the acceptance of God, but God has appointed ministers, and those ministers are free agents. So talk to the ministers. This is the original mistake. God appoints the sun to provide light. So why bother God? Talk to the sun. God has the rain to provide nutrients. So why talk to God? Talk to the rain, talk to the clouds. Of course, the great mistake is not realizing that all of these things that God has put in place have no free agency, have no free choice. They're tools. Okay. So, which means it's the essence or the original idol worship is not a denial of God, but a sense of independence from God. Independence. God's on top, kind of like the Greek mythological understandings of God. You have Zeus on top, and then you have a bunch of other gods under. That was the original mistake. So the mistake is not necessarily the denial of God, but the independence from God. So explains the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, every sin is really a declaration of independence from God. God says, don't do something, and I say, I do what I want. So there's a subtle idol worship, in that every sin is a declaration of independence, as it were, from God. That's number one. So this is true of any sin. It doesn't explain why this making fun of the holiday specifically. So when our sages select a specific sin and associate it with idol worship, then it requires explanation. What's unique? Moreover, it doesn't say here someone who violates the holidays. It's not what it says here. It says someone who mevaze, disgraces, which means theoretically we could be talking about someone who actually keeps all the holidays, but yet belittles them, makes light of them. So why is that like idol worship? Why is that like idol worship? Okay, so I'm keeping in line with this thinking that every sin is independence from God, and that's what idol worship is. The holidays are the way in which we experience God in this world. It's all about oneness with Hashem. So if a person keeps all the holidays but doesn't take them seriously, laughs at them, scoffs them, and it's ritualistic stuff, and sorry, old-fashioned, even if he's doing it, right? So he's holding himself back from experiencing the connection with Hashem that's meant to be in the holidays and declaring himself independent. Furthermore, the Rebbe explains this in a different context. This statement is repeated also in Pirkei Avot, but in Pirkei Avot there's other things also. Besides for disgracing the holidays, there's other things there as well. What's the expression there? It's in Pirkei Avot. One second, I want to get a siddur. I'll show you. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, there's a siddur right over there on the white shelf there.
The beauties of nature and doesn't see God behind it. It's like somebody looking at a painting and saying, "Oh, this is such a beautiful painting." Look at
without acknowledging the artist.
Doesn't realize the
That's correct.
imminence.
That's right.
In absolutely everything, and it's like a child, God forbid, who comes to a table with his father in Shabbat and basically disgraces the table.
That's right.
Shabbat. Because God instituted this Shabbat evening and welcomes us.
That's correct.
How could we not?
That's right.
Exactly.
The siddur.
And that came.
No, I'll get it. 1 second.
During the time of the Greeks, it everywhere.
It's correct.
Exactly. The one about nature.
Yes. So there's one about nature, and there it says, I don't know if it says there about idol worship. It says there about maybe whether he was he's liable for his own.
What we were mentioning before, if you look at the
Yeah.
without.
So there it says, I think it says there that it's like he's liable for his own life if he doesn't acknowledge the creator within creation or stops from his learning to acknowledge creation. But here it's a different kalamavazas amarides here. I don't want to spend too much time looking for this, but we'll just look through quickly to see if we can find it quickly. It's mevazas amarides. He one who disgraces the holidays and includes other things as well. If I remember correctly, it mentions Mefer Brisoi, the one who like reverts the bris. One more second, 1 more minute, and if I don't find that, we'll just go forward and explain what I remember. I don't want to spend too much time here. Yeah, so the statement you said you're referring to is called Eskil Mischai Benafshai. It's like he's liable for his own life. Here, the statement is, here we are. Rabbi Levi the Madari said, "Hamachal l'sakotcha," one who disgraces, one who like machal l'sakotcha means he makes mundane, profanes the sacred, holy, the items from the temple. Mavazes hamoedes, the same thing is here. He disgraces the holidays. Hamal b'pnei chaveri b'rabim, one who embarrasses his friend. Hamei for berisa shel Avraham Avinu, one who like abrogates the covenant with Avram Avinu, and one who reveals in Torah elements that are anti-halacha, even though he has all kinds of, even though he has lots of Torah and good deeds, he has no share in the world to come. That's the statement here. But here, in our Gemara, of all of these, it selects one of them, the disgracing the holiday, and it makes it akin to idol worship, which is a little bit different than the Mishnah, but it's similar. So in the
many Jews belong to Freemason.
It's a good question. I once looked into it. It's not so clear. It's not so clear. It's not so clear that I don't want to. I looked into Freemasons once, and there's a lot of mystery around it, so it's not quite clear. It's idol worship. It could be, but it's not quite clear. At any rate, so what's the meaning? Okay, I don't know. Maybe Okay, at any rate, so why is the one who disgraces the holidays akin to idol worship specifically? Not violating the holidays, not transgressing, but actually making fun of it. Mavaze disgraces it. So in that context, that Mishnah, the Rebbe says as follows. I don't want to go through the whole Mishnah there, but this is this idea. What's unique about the Moedes, the holidays, what's unique is the Jewish contribution to the making of the holiday. As opposed to Shabbos, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago here in the Gemara, as opposed to Shabbos, which is Mekache V'Kaima. Shabbos is Shabbos no matter what a Jew does. Every 7 days is Shabbos. Time comes, it's Shabbos. When it comes to the days of the holiday, the date of when the holiday is determined by the Jew, by the Jews, by proxy of the Bezdin, right? So especially in the old day, the rabbi spoke about this earlier, where they would receive witnesses who would determine when the Rosh Chodesh would be, and then accordingly that's when the Yom Tov would be. Even today, our calendar is fixed by sages and scholars. So the Yom Tovim are created from below to above. So perhaps, and borrowing from the Rebbe's commentary on the Mishnah there, that the idea of the one who disgraces the holiday is this idea of someone who says a Jew doesn't have the ability to make holy, only God makes holy. And that is akin to idol worship. That's akin to idol worship.
Yeah.
It's interesting. On the one hand, idol worship means independence from Hashem. That's what we're describing as idol worship. But here we're saying that the Jew has a partnership with Hashem in creating the holiday. And that partnership is a quote unquote independence. But an independence, not an independence that says, I do what I want. An independence that says, I do what you want, Hashem. So there is an independence to the Jew. He has to decide when the holidays are. He has to decide when Rosh Chodesh is. But he doesn't do it as a free agent. He does it as a partner with Hashem. So the partnership between Hashem and the Jew in the creation of the holidays, right? Hashem's Torah that makes the holiday, but Hashem empowers the Jew to create Rosh Chodesh, which determines the date of the holiday. So this partnership is the ultimate negation of idol worship. Because it says that even independence, a Jew's independent thinking, that itself was in the service of Hashem to create the holidays. So it's the truest opposite of idol worship. If idol worship is independence of Hashem, right? So there's an inherent problem here. We learned from we just explained from Tanya that idol worship is independence from God. Who doesn't feel independent? Of course, we can rationalize and say, oh, we're not independent. But when we wake up in the morning, the first word we think of is I. Even modanim. I think there's a word I right there. It's inevitable. We cannot avoid it. The one who is tied cannot untie himself. We ourselves feel as a sense of I. So as much as we learn that we're not independent from Hashem, our default setting is we're independent. I exist as an I. That's our default. That's the premise of everything it is. Right? So there's a problem. If idol worship is a sense of independence, how do we ever escape that? I feel a sense of I. Comes Torah and says you feel a sense of I. That I is meant to partner with Hashem. And that's how you negate idol worship. And that's expressed in the creation of the Yom Tovim, of the holidays, and which is the ultimate partnership of Hashem, where a day becomes holy by partnership of Hashem and the Yid. Hashem gives that holiness. He's the commander of the holiday, but the Jew is the one that determines the date. So with this partnership in the Yom Tovim, that's the ultimate opposite of idol worship. And thus, Mavaza, one who disgraces the holiday, it's as if he's serving idols, because he's just separating from Hashem and doing a complete independence, not allowing the independence of the Jew to become partner with Hashem. And this is perhaps a deeper layer to what the Gemara means here. Okay, tomorrow we have a very interesting Gemara, and I want everybody to think about the little homework, see if we can come back tomorrow. The Gemara tomorrow is going to compare idol worship, it's going to compare Lashon Hara, and it's going to say that the Lashon Hara is someone who should be thrown to the dogs. Should be thrown to the dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to think about what dogs means and what does this mean to be thrown to a dog. And then we'll see how we can connect it to Lashon Hara. So this is a little homework for tomorrow. That's what the Gemara is going to do, and we're going to try to unpack what might mean the deeper meaning behind it, and we'll see if we can come up with something for tomorrow. Okay, wonderful day, Yidden. And there's a very powerful message here about the importance of realizing our partnership with Hashem. And it's true that we feel a sense of I, and we cannot get rid of it. But what we can do is use that I to be a partner with Hashem, which is really what learning Torah is all about. That's what learning Torah is all about. To use your mind as an independent Jew, as an independent, thinking individual, but in partnership with Hashem and His Torah, expressed in the creation of the Yom Torah.
Even the name of Hashem is Yud.
Yep.
How you can be out of this? Impossible. Huh?
How to sanctify everything.
That's right. Sanctify even my sense of independence. That too should be sanctified. Yeah.
That's why it's so that foremost always Bati Legani.
Yeah.
Bati Legani. You know, like, come, welcome, you know.
It's a beautiful garden. Please come in. Okay, have a wonderful day, Eden.
Thank you very much. Merci,
Thank you very much.